Los Angeles, 1947. A city of sunshine, citrus groves, and Hollywood dreams. But on the morning of January 15th, a shadow fell over the city, one that has never truly left. In a vacant lot on South Norton Avenue, a local mother pushing her child in a stroller saw what she thought was a discarded mannequin. It was not. It was the body of 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. What was done to her was not just murder. It was a brutal, ritualistic dismemberment. She had been bisected at the waist, drained of all blood, and her face had been carved into a terrifying, permanent grin. The press, in a frenzy of sensationalism, nicknamed her the Black Dahlia. The case became the most famous unsolved murder in American history. Hundreds of suspects, dozens of false confessions, over 75 years of investigation, and nothing. But in the storm of theories, from jilted lovers to mad doctors, most of the public, and even the police, fixated on the body. They missed the real message. They overlooked the one, chilling clue the killer sent himself, a clue that tells us exactly who he was. And the police, in their desperation, may have destroyed it. To understand the crime, you must first understand the victim. And the person the papers described was not Elizabeth Short. The media painted her as a promiscuous, doomed wannabe, a drifter who haunted Hollywood Boulevard. The reality was more tragic and far more human. Born in Massachusetts, Elizabeth was a young woman with asthma who dreamed of being an actress. She was, by all accounts, charming, but naive. She was often broke, moving between acquaintances, and yes, she dated many men. But the post-war Hollywood scene was a difficult place for a woman with no family and no money. In the days before her death, what investigators call the lost week, she seemed to simply vanish. She was last seen alive at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown LA on January 9th. 6 days later, she was found. The myths that she was a prostitute, that she was involved in dark circles, were largely invented by the press to sell papers. The truth is simpler. She was a vulnerable young woman who trusted the wrong person. The investigation was a circus. The LAPD, overwhelmed by the press and the sheer brutality of the crime, was desperate. They received hundreds of tips, most of them useless. Then, 9 days after the discovery of the body, a package arrived at the offices of the Los Angeles Examiner. The address was a collage of words cut from print. Inside was a letter, also assembled from cutouts. It read, "Here are Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." But the real contents were underneath. It was a collection of Elizabeth Short's personal effects. Her social security card, her birth certificate, photographs she had carried, and an address book with the name Mark Hansen embossed on the cover. This was it. A direct communication from the killer. A taunt, a trophy. And this is where the investigation failed. Before the package was properly examined for any evidence, the entire collection of items was carefully and disastrously wiped clean. With gasoline. Gasoline. Why gasoline? The killer hadn't just sent the package. He had prepared it. He meticulously cleaned every single item, every card, every photo, the address book itself, with gasoline, completely destroying any possible fingerprints. This is the clue. Not the items themselves, but the state they were in. The public, and many police, wanted a madman, a frenzied, blood-crazed maniac. But this clue points to something else entirely, something colder. This was not a crime of passion. This was a crime of precision. Think about the killer's profile, based only on this one act. 1. He is intelligent and patient. He didn't just dump the items. He held onto them for 9 days. He waited until the media frenzy was at its peak. 2. He has forensic awareness. How many people in 1947 knew that gasoline would be a perfect solvent to destroy latent fingerprints? He didn't just wipe the items, he chemically cleaned them. This suggests a knowledge of evidence, of police procedure, or perhaps a medical or chemical background. 3. He is a manipulator. He wanted the police to have this. The address book had several pages torn out, the items he sent. They were a curated collection. He was directing the investigation. He was pointing them towards certain names, like Mark Hansen, and away from others, the ones on the pages he'd ripped out. He was playing a game. This single act, the gasoline-wiped package, invalidates half of the popular theories. This wasn't a random vagrant. This wasn't a frenzied, jealous lover. This was the act of a cold, calculating and methodical predator. Someone who enjoyed the power, the risk, and the control. So, who fits this profile? When you look at the suspects through the lens of this clue, the list gets very, very short. The most popular modern theory points to Dr. George Hodel, a brilliant high-society Los Angeles doctor with a dark side and a surgical background. His own son, LAPD detective Steve Hodel, built a case arguing his father was the killer. The bisection? Hodel had the surgical skill, the lack of blood at the scene. Hodel's medical knowledge would be key. But most importantly, would George Hodel, an intelligent doctor, know that gasoline destroys fingerprints? Absolutely. Does he fit the profile of a cold, arrogant manipulator who would taunt the police he felt superior to? According to his son, that's exactly who he was. Then there's the theory of Walter Bailey, a surgeon who lived just one block from the vacant lot where Elizabeth's body was found. Bailey's wife died shortly before the murder, and he himself died of a brain disorder in 1948, just a year later. Did a degenerative brain disease cause him to act on dark impulses? As a surgeon, he had the skill for the bisection, and he would certainly have the forensic knowledge to clean the evidence. The package doesn't solve the case, but it focuses it. It tells us to stop looking for a madman and start looking for a monster with a steady hand, a high IQ, and a profound sense of arrogance. The package is the entire case in miniature, a box of clues that only created more questions. A message from a killer that proves only his own intouchable intelligence. The gasoline wiped away the fingerprints, just as time and a bungled investigation have wiped away any hope of a definitive answer. The true identity of the Black Dahlia's killer is lost, dissolved by the very evidence he left behind. Elizabeth Short never became a movie star. Instead, she became a ghost, a permanent, unsolved mystery haunting the city of dreams. The dread isn't just that she was murdered, it's that the person who did it, the cold, smart, precise individual, watched the chaos, read the headlines, and smiled, and got away with it. What do you think? Was the package a calculated taunt, a simple misdirection, or the killer's biggest mistake? Let us know your theory in the comments, and if you're drawn to the mysteries that remain in the dark, subscribe to Unresolved Dread.